Get this going live streaming. Yeah, so by the way, everybody, I do not have any April Fool's jokes for today. I've never been a fan of April Fool's. It's the silliest holiday ever, but it's not even a holiday. Um, but let me see here. So we got people filtering in. Yeah, so before we kick off on my agenda, Matt Bain, you're firing off some LOIs. This week? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, for the most part, I've been walking a couple of properties, and my networking seems to be paying off. The shotgun approach, trying to connect with enough brokers, seems to be the way to go. Um, just fostering those relationships yielded a property that was thrown my way. It's off market. It's not necessarily something that I think that the current owner is happy to sell, but which could be a good thing. But they are motivated, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, since the last meeting, my focus has all been on networking, and that's been, again, with that focus, has been yielding good results so far.
Yeah, so I guess like what was the seminal moment kind of like ch like changing your thoughts about that?
What was the question?
What was your seminal moment in changing your thoughts about like networking and that kind of stuff?
Um, so historically, buying residential properties, it was the, the name of the game was find a realtor, a really good realtor, and follow their lead and have them find the properties and all of that. I'd find my own, but primarily a lot of it would be driven by what they found for me.
Mhm.
With this new game, the new rules, just recognizing that, trying to do that one off, having that one broker look for you. I had the poor experience from one particular broker, who I thought was going to be really, gangbusters. He was going to go hard, but um, after a couple weeks of nothing, that didn't seem it wasn't going anywhere. So the aha moment, for the most part, was recognizing that there's no, at least I haven't come across it yet, but there's no contract between you and the realtor or the broker at this level. Residential, I know that they have this, I think it's a new law or whatever they got going, where you have to sign with them, but that's not the case here. So it's game on with however many relationships you can establish. Is what I gathered. That was from a couple of these, maybe 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago, the meeting here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing is that if you're if you have an exclusive buyer agency with a like on the commercial side of things, not the residential, because I understand like with residential, especially with New York State, they may require, the agent may require to sign an exclusive buyer agency agreement with them.
Yeah.
Um, with a commercial, like you are not their only client. So they could be working with buyers that are looking for industrial, sellers that are looking to sell industrial, leasing, landlord representation, tenant representation, and from my experience with being a commercial broker and also being friends with a lot of them, there's just there's just not the bandwidth within which to act like a good exclusive buyers agency because the market in terms of where deals are sourced are so fragmented. Uh, for instance, uh, one of the national real estate brokers, Cushman Wakefield, Marcus and Millichap, CB Richard Ellis, they don't even list properties in the MLS or LoopNet and Crexi for the most part. They're basically they have like their listings and inventory that they basically have to like call buyers around, like call around and like and other brokers. Like it's very very old fashioned. So you have to diversify relationships, especially on the commercial side of things. And there is not I guess there's a greater amount of, I wouldn't, it may feel promiscuous But a lot of times, commercial brokers don't even want to deal with a buyer's representative because the seller's broker wants to have control, as much control as possible, out of the outcome of the transaction. So generally, most of the deals that I've done on the commercial side of things has been, directly through the listing agent. Now, I used to be a residential agent, and I would get so pissed when I would have an investor contact me directly that I knew there was on the other side of the transaction being represented by an agent, because them thinking that they would be able to get a better deal or something like that, was just annoying. When I got into commercial brokerage, it was completely different. So I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are on that, um, but no, it's excellent, Matt. Yeah, make sure to mark those points. Let's get into this right now. The agenda tonight is I'm going to announce actually a few different things. I announced the spring game. And for those of you who are not familiar, for the actual leaderboard game, we hold this once a quarter throughout the year to basically have some competition with each other. And also, competition is healthy across all the guys that are guys and girls are across the country. With the key things that are really the thing that moves the needle with building relationship infrastructure and therefore getting deals done. All right. So I'm actually going to share my screen with you all right now and show you what I'm talking about. For those that are familiar, um, who's familiar with the game? Raise your hand, please. I know Vlad's familiar. He was like the OG founding father of the whole thing. All right, so Mike Gesson. I don't know what value did you get out of it playing the game, because I know that I was the one that handed you and Peter $500 in cash the last time you.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like you said, it's friendly competition. It's nice to bust your friend's balls. About I'm beating you on the scoreboard, or something. But it gives you more motivation to do those cold calls or drive past properties and just to find properties. It gives you more motivation.
Excellent. And did you think that, and Mike, do you think that it allowed you to kind of like get used to and incorporate new habits that helped you even after the game was complete?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I started cold calling a little more than I'd used to before. So that's one habit that I'd say I picked up.
No, 100%. Anybody else have any comments on the game they want to chime in on how it might have helped them, or strategies that may have worked for them to win? All right. So for those of you that are new to this, this is the quote unquote the game. All right, I have a link to this shared into the Facebook group, and I'll actually put a link to this actually in the chat as well, so you can actually save it. If you're using Chrome, what I do is I just like book it to my bookmarks like right up here in the actual browser. So then I can get access to it on my phone, and also when I'm on my desktop browser. So let me see here. So share scorekeeper link, copy. I'll put this in the chat right here. Here we go. Okay, so the objective of this whole thing, or the really the goal of this whole thing, is to kind of backing up and put into context what you guys are on in terms of your journey from transitioning from residential to commercial is completely foreign to 99% of the people that are in your sphere of influence. All the other investors all the other people So this is one way, including coming to these calls every week, is to feel not alone, for instance, and then also to adopt new habits that maybe are foreign to you. Okay. So what we do is that we run this through and we announce it on our next in-person meetup, which is in Rochester. I've created an event in the actual Facebook group. We announce the event there. If you guys can't make it and you're from outside of Rochester, then I will Cash App or Venmo you or PayPal you the $500 in cash. So you are all in this game. So we have until the middle of May, right? Is when we have it. So we have a little bit over a month to log our points here. So all of these things are based upon scientifically gathered evidence on the over 100 podcast episodes that I had where I interviewed investors, the titans of real estate across the country, the Gino Barbaros, the Matt Faircloths, the Reed Goosens, Michael Blancs, Tyler Cauble. I interviewed them on all these episodes on how exactly they did their first big deal. Okay. And I reverse engineered basically this whole score system based upon this whole thing. Right. So from essentially effective, but I wouldn't say the least effective. Yeah, maybe the least effective all the way up to the most effective. Okay. So on here, you have one point. Okay. This is a point system. 1 point is for a coffee meeting, a lunch, a dinner, or beer scheduled. Okay, with anybody that could fit the mold of an old colleague, which might be a potential investment partner, a broker, even another investor. If there's a residential real estate investor, you meet up at a meetup, for instance. This is actually scheduled on the actual calendar, so you get a point for actually getting this on the calendar. All right. Then a social media content post, 1 a day max, also counts as 1 point. If you need inspiration on what counts as a social media content post, it's just something that's real estate related that positions yourself as a thought leader and a real estate investor. Okay, because everybody wants to be a real estate investor, but nobody wants to deal with the 4 T's: the tenants, trash, toilets, and most importantly, time. All right. And if you need inspiration on social media content strategy, I have a bunch of trainings that's actually in the Kajabi training platform on how to ideate and you don't have to be. The goal here is not to be an influencer. All it is I'm David Darnell and I'm in real estate and I'm good at it. Okay. I'm Jim Taylor. I'm in real estate. I'm good at it. I'm Mike Fresca. I'm in real estate and good at it. I'm good at it. I'm Jim Scandola. I'm in real estate and good at it. Okay. And this could be simple stuff, right? From financing techniques, technical type of stuff like I like to do, to just stupid stuff on seemingly stupid stuff that you take for granted, like how to the importance of spring cleanup with your properties. Right. So you may require your tenants to, if you own single family houses, to mow the lawns and that sort of thing, but I need to schedule spring cleanup every year, or else the grass is going to look like crap. Okay, if I don't do spring cleanup, and this is why. So it can be very, very rudimentary things, and the thing is that it doesn't, if it stinks, then nobody in your sphere of influence, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, is gonna see it. That's not the point. It's not even the point for them to actually consume it. It is just for your sphere of influence to be constantly reminded that what you do, right? To position yourself as a subject matter expert, a go-to person, and a thought leader in a specific thing. Okay. And then the last point system is deal analyzed and provided feedback to a broker. This is something like where a deal that the location sucks, the property sucks, you would never even want to own it if you were able to buy it for $1. Okay. This is just the feedback to the broker. If this is something that is a property in a good location, a property you'd like to own, but there's just a difference in price, then you better be making an offer. I don't care what the freaking difference is between what the asking price is and where you actually need to buy that in terms of what your maximum allowable offer is. Okay. So deal analyze and provided a feedback to broker, such as broker sends you a deal. And the thing is that most people do not respond to these broker emails, right? They're on a constant contact list. 10,000 square foot industrial building in such and such neighborhood, blah, 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 blah. And then you just say, hey, listen, thank you for thinking of me. You know, parentheses, I knew that you were, I knew that I'm on like an email list for you, but I'm really looking at for multifamily 10 to 30 units in, such and such area or whatever, right? If it's somewhat near a buy box, but it's in a crappy location, then just underwriting the deal and just saying like, hey, listen, this deal is a little bit too rich for me. And plus it's really not in a location I want to own a property. I prefer to own in, these zip codes or these neighborhoods and that sort of thing. Okay. Any questions on how to earn 1 point?
I actually have a question about that subject, particularly around, like I mentioned earlier, I've been increasing my networking. What I've recognized so far is that oftentimes they won't respond to exactly that, right? So I'll tell them that this particular one that I was looking at, pretty close to what I was looking for, but it's not quite. But generally, it won't. They won't follow up with, okay, well, here's a couple more that are coming down the pike or anything. I don't really get any response. So overall, it just feels like my networking is either it's love me or hate me. It's either you love me and you want to throw me a bunch of stuff, or you hate me. I interpret it as you hate me when you don't even respond. Like, I get both.
Yeah. So Matt, this is a good point here. I always prefer the old fashioned way. A broker sends me something, I take a look at it, and then I'll just pick up the phone and call them. All right. Instead of a standard email response. Brokers like to talk. They're salespeople. Most of them are naturally social. They understand the importance of building relationship infrastructure and all that sort of thing. If I call this person, it goes to voicemail, and they never call me back, or it goes to voicemail, and I shoot them a text message. Hey, Chris, Matt Bain, thank you for sending a listing to me. Give me a call. Give me a call back so I can give my feedback. Okay. If they don't call you back, like, it's not incumbent upon you to essentially, call them again and then call them again and then call them again. Right. I really want to give you feedback on this, and I'm begging you to give the opportunity to give you feedback. Usually this is going to turn into some sort of conversation. And I would, and if it's somebody that you look back at your calendar, you haven't had, coffee or lunch with or whatever in quite some time, say 2 to 3 months, get something on the calendar, right? Get coffee or lunch. Hey, let's catch up on the market. And believe me, any experienced broker or agent is going to understand, that lunches, face-to-face meetings are the key to building relationship infrastructure, and make that part of your habit. Matt, is what my recommendation would be. Those people that are just like, hey, I don't have anything in the pipeline. They don't hate you. It's just they probably don't have anything in the pipeline, right? They're not busy. So, does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions on the 1 point? David, I see you unmuted yourself.
Just gonna add to your answer there, like I'd make a guess that he's never worked in sales, right? You're kind of selling yourself, and you have to have like a rhythm, and you have to like call them, leave a message. If they don't call you back, text them the next day. If they don't text back, email them the next day, and then wait a week and do it again. Yeah, I usually go through a few rounds of that before I'd give up at all. But you have to kind of be organized about it, because you'll forget if you're trying to contact multiple people at once, throughout the week. Just be organized and kind of, because a lot of they don't know who you are. They don't know if they're just whatever. They probably don't. If they get 20 messages a day, they're not checking their voicemails, maybe, or some of them like texting better. Some of them you just got to make a connection first before they'll do something. But I think I just treat it like you're a salesperson trying to sell yourself and make that first contact and be organized.
Yeah. It's particularly when you say organized. I recognize the same thing, and that's what I'm starting to do. I've gone so far as to create a Google Drive list, an Excel list of contacts, brokers, and characteristics associated with them. When I called, when I last spoke to them, how that went, was it over the phone? Was it an email? Was it face-to-face engagement? All of that kind of detail. I'm starting to capture it and track it.
Yeah, that stuff
I'm
would
getting
probably
there.
help.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things is like I'm not a naturally organized person, so I mean, Matt, how I track my last interaction is I put a date on my Google Calendar and I search for it by name. Okay. And I always make sure that I actually spell the person's name right in the actual Google Calendar. I was like, oh, when's the last time I did this? And you'd be surprised. Like it's like, damn, it felt like yesterday I met with that guy. It was like 6 months ago. And so yeah, I mean a voice over the phone, a written text over an email, is not nearly as powerful as the exponential power as like a belly to belly interaction. This is a very unfortunately it's a very low tech, inefficient business, and this is the reason why I love commercial is because it is inefficient, and then you all can capitalize on exploiting market inefficiencies. So, okay, so 2 points, right? So, Matt Bain, this is like phone call to commercial broker, phone call to potential investor, or networking event. Okay, so this is just a kind of like hey, maybe it's been a couple months. It maybe would be overkill to just like get lunch every 2 months with with somebody. But it's just like, hey, how's it going? I thought about you the other day. I saw I saw in the local business journal such and such property sold, just like chit chat. And I know that and Matt, this is something that you and I commiserate over, is to like we are not great at small talk. Okay, so I want to actually talk about something of substance pertaining to the business. And what other thing that we love to talk about rather than real estate, business, and ideas. So that's
What
kind of
else
like,
is there?
yeah, I know, right? I don't know. The Super Bowl halftime show. I mean, I don't know. It's like we could talk about that for months, like every year. So, um, which yeah, you never catch me. I mean, unless, like I've said before, unless Slayer is playing the Super Bowl halftime show, which will never happen. I will never be talking about the Super Bowl halftime show. Sorry. So, Vlad, what do you got?
Yeah, so what you said about a property that's sold, that's like my go-to is I always look at everything that sells, and I would call a broker, and that would be my opening, is like this property that you sold recently. What was that transaction like? Like how competitive was it? And then just learn all about that transaction and tell them that I'm looking for something just like that. In fact, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Just today in the paper, I read that someone I know purchased a 47 unit deal for 1.8 million today. That was offered to me at 3.5. So how he
Wow.
closed it at 1.8 is amazing, and I'm gonna call the broker tomorrow to find out. So,
Mhm.
but that's my go-to, is to call to find out about a previous deal, and that starts the conversation for me.
Yeah, and so for instance, like on the 2 point rung of things here, I called 3 people today. I have to raise $400,000 for my next phase in the redevelopment of Wilder Building. Okay, which is a building we're old office building, historic building. We're converting into 50 apartments of workforce housing, and I was able to I guess we'll get to wins later on this call, but my big win last week is I asked for 400 and I got 200,000. So I need that, so I need to bridge the gap of the 200,000. So I made a point. I set aside an hour to call to call people and have a substantive conversation. One of those investors who started, by the way, as a guy I bought a mixed use building from, small mixed use building, 6 units, 4 apartments, 2 commercial storefronts back 8 years ago, held the mortgage for me because it was a problem property with zoning issues that I cured post closing. I took him out and I used him. I took him out for a refinance, and I used him for a hard money or private money lender on some subsequent purchases beyond that. And so, but I know where he still owns property. So so after I got to the ask, it was and this only works when you actually have like, it's much easier when you have that belly to belly relationship with that person. I've only known this person. I the only time I ever had a beer with this guy was when I knew that both of us had to get drunk in order to negotiate the deal on the property I bought from him. But since then, we haven't had this sort of like, hey, Paul, what's going on, man? Like, but I mean, how I start off the phone call with these people that I have this relationship infrastructure with is like, I just said, hey, Paul, how's it going? Hey, Matt, how are you doing? I was like, so do you got $200,000 burning a hole in your pocket? Right. So that's how I started off. If you called up a stranger that you have no relationship infrastructure with, that conversation like may not be, taken very well, right? So I always get a chuckle out of it. And he's like, yeah, I may or may not, what do you got? Okay, this is the usual response. What do you got? And so I just described it to him high level. He's like, okay, that sounds interesting. It may not be my cup of tea, but why don't you let me think about it? So I said, okay, let me just send my high level overview of the project, and if you're interested, let's walk the building together. Okay, yeah, you know what? And let's walk the building together either way, whether you're interested or not, right? Because I want to have another opportunity not only to build on this 2 points, but also to have a 3-pointer with meeting this guy in person at the property, right? So to further build upon that relationship infrastructure. So, and that's how I handled those 3 calls today, right? But I get into the business at first. This may or may not be the right way. I get into the business first because to me, doing the chit chat thing and the small talk thing and how are the kids and did you see this game and I can't believe the Bills are doing so bad and all this sort of thing, and then you get into, hey, do you have 200,000? By the way, do you have $200,000 burning a hole in your pocket? It just always seems disingenuous to me. Okay, so I always go into like the reason why I'm calling, and after we get all that whole thing, then it's like, hey, let's socialize, let's catch up. And then what I did is I knew Paul owned some properties in a certain area that's pretty close to an apartment building that I own. And I said, hey, Paul, I'm having a really hard time like actually finding qualified tenants at my building. I'm having more delinquency issues than usual. Like, what's happening with you? Just kind of trading notes. I talked to him about some recently sold sales comps that he may or may not have been aware of. So then I go into like actually like, okay, how can I, like, knowing this person, how can I add some value to them, add some intrigue, that type of thing. And then we got off the call, and that's how I kind of handle each of these kind of like investor calls. And this is the same type of methodology for brokers as well, right? Hey, I just thought about you the other day. I saw this property closed. I thought of you. Do you got anything in the hopper? I'm looking for something that's like 10 to 30 units, 10 to 30 unit multifamily deal in the Maplewood neighborhood or the Northland Lyceum neighborhood. Do you have, I know it's a shot in the dark, but do you have anything in the pipeline? No, I can't think of anything, Matt. I was like, hey, I figured as much. You got my number, blah, 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 blah. Hey, by the way, Chris, how's everything going in your life? Like, what types of projects are you working on? And that sort of like chit chat after the fact. But I mean, I keep it relatively business oriented on the subject of the thing that I'm absolutely obsessed with, which is commercial real estate and local economics and local politics and all that sort of thing. So then you have the networking event. Okay, so these are another 2-pointer. Now, a networking event doesn't necessarily need to be real estate oriented. Okay, so for somebody that's like, let's say, so David Darnell, you are in the business of selling automated parking garages, essentially, right? Okay.
Right.
So a networking event for you could be some sort of industry related type of like, conference, whether it's like a local, I don't know, association of commercial realtors, of I don't know, BOMA, if there's a BOMA chapter around you, Building Owners Management Association, or something that's like this, like that. Something could have adjacency, or could to real estate, or it could be something that's completely not related at all, right? If you're a petroleum engineer like Jim Scandola, it's just a way to actually get belly to belly with people that you already know, okay? Because the more they see your face, all right, the more that relationship infrastructure builds, and also the opportunity to actually schedule a one-on-one with them, right? So I don't know, David, do you do any like any like networking and that sort of thing in your space in Cleveland?
I would not for my primary job. Most of it's bigger events. We do the ICSC out in Vegas and stuff, but I do like that idea because we talked to a lot of the local Warren people, which isn't probably the area I'd buy in, but yeah, that's definitely, as you're talking about it, I feel like that's a good activity for me to start diving into.
Yeah, I mean, it could be David. It could be like, it could be BOMA. It could be the Urban Land Institute. It could be the CCIM, the commercial. What is it? The Certified Commercial Investment Manager. It could be the IREM, the Institute of Real Estate Management, and some of the stuff like can have adjacencies and complementary type of things with like what you're already doing in your business. So it could actually help your real estate business by being in a room full of people, getting that relationship infrastructure built with people you already know, and then making one new friend. Right. So I view networking not as a way to just, pass my big business cards around to every single heartbeat that's in that room. My whole goal is to make one new friend. And if I go into a networking event and I don't know a damn person at the networking event, do you know what I do? I don't know, David, do you have any tricks if you don't know anybody in that room?
I don't know anybody. I just pick someone out.
Exactly. The person I happen to pick out is the person that looks the most uncomfortable, most awkward.
That's a good strategy.
Is I just pick them and I go
Because they're in the same boat. They're probably thinking, how do I talk to somebody?
Exactly. I mean, they're not comfortable being there. So like just think about the amount of like value you could start with actually building a relationship with finding the person that's the most uncomfortable, like in the room. Because believe me, the shiniest people with the nicest suits and the nicest teeth and the nicest hair in the room aren't necessarily, they're not the people that are the most successful. Okay. So yeah, finding that people, and believe me, like those people will be like, oh my God, like David saved me. I was like sweating, stress sweat. I started to smell bad, like, that sort of thing. Like, he saved me from this. And like, so that's what I do. Which is my methodology. And like, believe me, like people that looked like, I was at a networking event last week, and the guy that I picked out that was kind of standing by himself, that was wearing came in from out of the pouring rain, like there was like just water dripping off his hair onto his face. His whole clothes were wet. His shirt was kind of like jacked up, like kind of out of his pants. That's one guy I picked. Didn't look like the most conventionally successful person, but this guy is like a killer. All right, and a potential whale that I made friends with. So you never know. And then guess what? If you keep going to the same thing, right? Associate yourself with the same organization, this person will probably come the next one, right? So now you have this sort of constellation of contacts and friends that you can make that makes it even more powerful. Because one great thing that you can do is as you make friends networking with whatever trade association or whatever social organization it might be. It doesn't have to be real estate. It doesn't have to be even real estate adjacent. then you can say, oh, you know what? I just, I hear you got this problem or whatever. Or you're looking for I don't know. I'm just thinking like a commercial insurance agent. Hey, my friend Andy over, I just met a couple weeks ago. He does exactly that type of stuff, right? So you can actually exponentially build upon the value you can build to people and the goodwill you can build with people to fast track that, that relationship infrastructure, and also your just your value, and also building that circular reference. So that insurance guy that you met once, Andy, the commercial insurance guy that you met once last week, that came in, drenched, coming out of the rain, that you introduced to a potential client, whether they became a client or not, you made the introduction. Then if they talk to somebody else that happens to be a mutual connection and is maybe a potential investment partner that's asking about you, and they're like, hey, no, I know David, no, he's a great guy, right? He's a great guy. Yeah. In their mind, they're like, oh, I don't really know him that well, but he's a great guy. There's that trust transfer that happens, right? So anyways, that's the 2 points. 3 points is this is pretty self-explanatory: in-person meeting with a potential investment partner, walking the property with a broker, or in-person meeting with a broker, like a lunch or coffee, kind of a catch-up session with a broker if they have no inventory currently, but it's been a few months since you've seen it. Been 3 to 6 months since you've seen them. Call them up. You get 1 point for scheduling the meeting, right? And you get the 3 points for actually showing up. All right, so that's a 4-pointer. And then the biggest one, which is I think the one that takes the most amount of out of intestinal fortitude, for instance, is submitting a letter of intent, okay, to a seller or a broker. Okay, that's the 4 point. So everybody has their own methodology for how to game the game. Okay. But yeah, it's all up to you. Sometimes some of you may not be that social, right? Want to be in a group of strange people, and find another way, right, to stack the points, okay, and kind of build those habits over time. So this is how it actually works. I just started this earlier today, and you will get the link is in the chat right here. So just save it to your tool, to your bookmarks and whatever browser you have there. So then you have an access on your phone and also your desktop. And then you just log your points. Okay. All right. So today, I did one social post, and I did 3 potential investor calls, and raising this $200,000 gap that I have with this current thing. So the good thing about actually getting points in the board is the more points you get on the board, the further your name will be up here. So the easier you'll have at a time finding your name. Okay, so we're just going to go down here. So when you log up points, you have to log it down here at the bottom. Okay. With your comments here, I just put an example here: 1 social post, 3 investor calls, 6 points to basically the initials of the people that I called and contacted with in this regard. Okay, and that's how we run the game. Any questions, people? Also, if you go on here and your name is missing and you want to play the game, shoot me a message so I can add your name. Okay. Not everybody plays this. I don't know why. It makes what we do a little bit more fun. But yeah, if you don't see your name on here, shoot me a message. I'll add you onto here.
Did I count today?
Yeah, I just posted this today. Absolutely. So who knows? Maybe you'll get more points than I have right now. So
no, I did get set up with the broker for one of those Akron properties. So
oh, excellent. Any of the questions about the game or thoughts or whatever? Okay, Mike Fresky said, "What is the start date?" That's today. Matt Bain says, "I have choppy audio." Matt Bain, is that still true? Okay, maybe it was when I was like,
You
It sounds fine to
sound
me.
okay, maybe it was like when I
Sound
was
good.
screaming. Okay, okay, perfect. So that being said, we have our and I'm going to go into in the conclusion of this call into this week's challenge. Okay, and I'll end with a challenge. But we do have our next in-person meetup in Rochester, and that is on May. Let me see here. Oh, let's see, coming up here. Got to see more. Oh, geez, even more. Okay, on May 9th, 5 p.m., which is a Saturday. So we'll still have the Zoom on that early that Wednesday, but we'll be having it Big Ditch by Mortalis Brewing. They have a beautiful like rooftop deck there. If any of you are able to come in from out of town, please let me know. I'll like help you plan the entire trip. We've had members in from across the country, from Texas, for instance, and we basically set up like a whole tour of them through other members' projects that are midstream, and also it allows you to build friendships with these people. Remember, everybody, there's a lifetime membership at no additional charge to Go Bigger Sooner, this mastermind, for a reason, and that is because my whole objective when we started this thing was for people to make lifetime friends with each other, because there are people that have partnered together to take big deals down. Okay. And that is, that's not going to be from somebody that, that just happened to be part of it. It's somebody you have to actually build a relationship with, right, to establish that trust. Okay. All right. So, I did post a new training in the Kajabi about how to grow your network, okay? And how to not only how to grow your network, but also how to reach out to old acquaintances that you may have not talked to in a year or so, okay? And so I posted that in there in the actual Facebook group. It is on the Kajabi training platform. It is under the pillar of OPM mastery. I don't know, Mike Fresky, did you check it out? Or did anybody check it out?
I haven't yet. Sorry, I'm gonna watch it tonight actually because I have two meetings tomorrow that I need to get some ideas for. So I'm the one that
Okay.
asked for it, so thank you.
No worries. Yeah, and if there's anything that's in terms of like missing things out of in terms of gaps, things that you're just kind of confused about on trainings that I put together, or things that I've even said on this call, like please let me know. Vlad and I are just trying to like create as much value and create as much clarity as possible. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're locked in our own brains, and it may be things that we just take for granted that we shouldn't be taking for granted. All right. So that's up there. And Mike, if I could pick on you, Mike Fresky, why did you? And I understand why, but like share the group like why you kind of like needed that that kind of like training specifically.
Well, you just touched on it, right? This group is a resource, not just you and Matt and Vlad, but a resource and we're all different, right? And so I just wanted to see what works, right? Like I don't want to recreate the wheel, or I want to say something that's going to not work if someone, has already tried it, or clearly what things have worked for other people. So where I'm at is, a lot of classmates that I haven't talked to in a long time, but I know they probably got some cash and maybe they want to invest. And so it's like, okay, what is a good way to reach out to folks that I was friendly with 5-10 years ago without sounding like, sales breath, as you've said, Matt, which I don't, that's not me. So again, just trying to pick at the brains and the resources of this group. So that's where I was going.
So yeah, so Mike, there's kind of like this I guess like social tension or social anxiety around like reaching out to somebody that you just haven't like to you in a while, right? Which
Yeah,
by
absolutely. Usually the people that do that are selling, sorry, no disrespect, Amway or something, right? Like it's, hey, I'm doing this thing, and I don't want to be that guy, you know.
Mhm. So anybody else got some tips on what's worked for them on like re-engaging their sphere, especially like if there are those of you that have like, what I call like been in the matrix for the past like 3 to 5 years and not stuck your head above ground. Or how to overcome that fear.
The benefit that I've achieved in residential real estate, the way to connect is usually for me has always been to talk about the business, but then look for the humanity in the person as you're talking. Everybody kind of wears their reality on their sleeve. So when they get a phone call or something, this last guy, this broker that I was speaking to yesterday, he told me about his 8-month-old at home. He's trying to get home because it's late and blah blah blah. I've been there, so that's where I kind of leaned into. Yeah, I know what you're going through. I know how tough it is, and you connect on that level. But usually I start with, that the what is real for both of us. Why we're really here. We're both here for to make the deal happen, and then we'll talk about the other stuff as it comes about. But I don't usually lead with the I want to get to know you, because I don't want to get to know anybody unless there's a real purpose. It sounds crazy to say so directly, but that's kind of it. There's billions of people on this planet. I can't get to know everybody. So let's talk about the business, and then if there's commonalities, awesome. Let's talk about that too.
Mm-hmm.
But
let's say that there's because I've had some like anxiety about this as well. So like let's say, I don't know, because I go through this like people you may know thing on Facebook and LinkedIn when I'm looking to grow my network, and I see some like guy from like I used to be sort of friends with. I was a floater in high school. I wasn't any part of like a particular group. Um, I was kind of a misfit, but like I had kind of like friends with like the goth people and some of the jocks and like that sort of thing. And I just like saw some guy's face like on this people you may know thing, and I was just like, oh my god, like I don't know. I thought of that person, but I just like I don't know, like I just feel so like, resistance about like, even adding them as a friend or even reaching out to them. So that's something that I struggle with. So that training in the Kajabi is meant to help reduce that resistance. At the end of the day, if this person hasn't been in your life for 5 years, 10 years, then what do you have to lose from just being friendly with them and just saying like, hey, it's been a long time. I just thought about you the other day. I drove by the high school or whatever, man. Like, and it's like, hey, how's everything? Like, how's everything going? Like, what have you been up? Like, what have you been up to? And then, getting, having a volley conversation from there. This could be either direct message, either Facebook or Instagram, or not Instagram, because Instagram, generally speaking, is more, the algorithm is more for influencers, not regular people. Okay, so we're talking about like pretty pictures, pretty girls, and pretty guys, not people that are just people. But on like, yeah, Facebook and LinkedIn has like the most amount of engagement in terms of like relationship building and person to person type of engagement. So, but yeah, what do you have to lose? This person, I don't mean to be morbid, but this person like could have died yesterday, and like and it's like, I don't know, oh, that's a little bit sad, but I'm not like, it's not really that big of a deal to just do that. And believe me, you so anyways, this is a methodology for any of you that have below 500 connections either on Facebook or LinkedIn, for instance. Any of you have above 500, this is the challenge. Okay, so I know for a fact that I'd say maybe 100% of the group do not have over 5,000 friends in Facebook, that's like the actual maximum cap of the amount of friends you can actually have in there. But assuming you have below 5,000 friends on Facebook, for instance, just go down through this people you may know. By the way, these friend requests, like I have like all these like random friend requests from people I don't even know who they are. But I go through these, and basically the first step is, okay, so the whole thing here is the challenge between now and next week. Add 20 new friends or 20 new friend requests on Facebook per day, okay? And 20 new connection requests on LinkedIn per day, okay? From now until Wednesday of next week, okay? I explain as to how this whole thing is in the actual Kajabi training. I'm not going into the extensive training I put into there tonight, but that is a challenge, okay? Half of those people are going to accept your friend request, okay? So that 20 is going to drop to actual 10 new added connections. Now, I use Facebook and Facebook and LinkedIn extensively as a tool for my business. So that's the reason why I have all these friend requests for people I don't know who the heck they are. Okay. Same thing with those people you may know. I've gone through this and added people that Facebook thinks, Mark Zuckerberg thinks that I know. And so I'm not getting up with a lot of people that are on here that I actually know. And so using this on LinkedIn and also Facebook, just all you do is just do add, and just count it, right? Don't do more than 20 because the algorithm can actually flag you as like a scam account. All this is that if you're going to be doing, or if you're already doing some sort of even occasional documentation of your real estate business on social media, whether it's a new paint job on the house and what you learned about it, whatever it is, then you're going to get a lot more distribution of the content over a broader sphere people. And these are people you probably know anyways. So my rule of thumb is that if you recognize their name and face, click add. If you don't recognize their name and face, like don't click add. Okay. Same thing with Facebook. So 20 a day. So 10 are going to accept it. And then for those 10 that accept it, send them out a message, especially if there's a people that's like, that you were close to in college, for instance, or close to in school, or close to at a former job, right? Somebody that was your bestie, okay? You just like kind of lost touch with, just to rekindle that relationship. And the beautiful thing about this whole thing is that you have no deal to pitch, you have nothing to pitch. This is just about getting, that's it. Like you have nothing to sell, nothing. It's just rebuilding and fortifying relationship infrastructure that you had before, and that's low hanging fruit. The same thing with LinkedIn. Basically, you go to your profile, you go to my network, and you're gonna have this beautiful thing that says, let me see here. All right, people you may know based upon recent activity. Same thing, 20. Just connect. You don't need to actually send a note with that connection request. Oh, I know this guy. Okay, cool. Oh, I know this guy too. Oh, cool. You don't need to actually send an actual personal note. I know that guy. Oh, I know that guy too. So this is all you do. And this is just building your network. And then if these are people that actually not like people that are completely strange to, just send them a warm message. Hey, I thought about you the other day. I was scrolling through LinkedIn. I saw your face. Right? You're not lying. So that is a challenge between now and next week. 20 and 20, Facebook and LinkedIn. If you swear not ever having a Facebook profile, but you have a LinkedIn profile, then it's okay. Just do it on LinkedIn. Is fine, and follow that training too. This is going to help you build the actual foundation for taking your business to the next level. And these seeds you're going to plant right now this week, some of them are going to be like tomato seeds, right? They're going to turn from seed to fruit in a season. Some of them are going to be like acorns. You're going to plant them, and they're not going to turn into an acorn. Not going to turn into another acorn in 20 years from now. It doesn't matter. It's the activity and the action that counts. Damn, I've been talking for a long time. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Any recent wins you guys want to talk about? I'm sick of talking right now.
I'm getting a little bit more experience with negotiating particular deals. The LOI that I submitted, um, the broker, I'm kind of going back and forth through text at this point, making slight tweaks to it. The what I've come to find out is that I tend to give too much information. And I found this out before this LOI, but I tend to give too much information, which reveals my position and makes the deal weaker, or at least my position weaker. So what I've started to do is be patient, give uh, direct. I'll say, make clear my position and what my offer is, and if there are modifications, I can do that. But the don't give any more than what's necessary. I've found that if I give too much information, then we start more or less talking about the wrong things. So instead of talking about the deal and the buyer coming down on the price, which is what I'm after, we're talking about things like the details of, well, I was underwriting this particular piece as being one of the major things, and it turns into how can I, from the broker's perspective, how can I talk him into offering more? I've got resources that can do it for cheaper, and no, that's no, I'm not going to do that. So I've learned again just to dial it back, to give less information. So these are my numbers. This is where I landed. Um, what does your seller think?
Yeah, no, great. I mean, like one of the cardinal rules is do not answer questions that aren't asked of you. Um, Especially when dealing with bankers. Um, so Matt, can you give an example of like where you may have made a mistake like this in the past that you can remember on like particular like ways you would have like you know like just specifically in terms of an example.
Um, Let me see. So I'm trying to think of something that's got a lot of weight to it.
It doesn't have to
It
be a
was
lot of
okay.
weight.
This was not too long ago. It was for a 4 unit. The place was, to truth be told, total transparency here. The place was in decent enough condition to buy at the price that the seller was trying to sell it at, and and that exact same thing happened where I knew that the roof it had a good 10 years still left in it, but I knew that the seller wasn't very well aware of his property. So, so I started talking about the roof to the realtor, pointing at some things out that may have been a problem, but not a huge problem. But because even the realtor didn't know much about roofing, everything that I was talking to him about, he was going to bring back to the seller. But then I gave him a verbal, that whatever the offer was, I gave him the verbal, and he came back, and like I mentioned, instead of coming back saying, "Okay, well, uh, your number is a little too low, you need to bring it up," or the seller's trying to uh, bring your number up, uh, instead of like that level of the negotiation, he started talking to me about everything that I had spoken to him about as being
Mhm.
the issues. So there was the driveway, there was the roof, there was the one of the four furnaces was horrible. Um, there were some things, but I'm not afraid of it because I've been there, done
Mhm.
that. But they don't know that. So I'm talking to them about this stuff, just letting them know that these are issues. They might be real concerns for me, but he came back. I trust because his seller was not willing to budge at that point, and he just came back to me with all of the points that I was trying to make as why the price needs to come down. Well, maybe I know some guys. I've got a roofing company that can that can do the roof for cheaper. No,
Yeah, so
no.
so it's just like counterpoints to all your points.
Yep.
All
As soon as I
right.
revealed those cards, that became the focus instead of getting the price where I needed it to be.
Yeah,
Um,
and make it a deal.
Yeah, I didn't end up getting the deal, FYI. But I think that was part of the reason why, is because we got down this rabbit hole of trying to move those numbers. Those numbers aren't gonna move.
Yeah, obviously a good point. Any recent wins, guys? I think is James Diamond still here? I think you got a recent win, right? Oh no, James fell off. I think he got an approval letter on his apartment deal. So that was a good win. I wanted to show him on. I want to talk about that. Anything else, guys, before we jump off tonight? And if you do have it, never mind it's 8 o'clock. If you have a win, whether it's small, all right, even if you made an offer, you walked a property, you analyzed a property, whatever the hell ever. You met with an investor, you called an investor. Any of those points on the board there is a win. Vlad.
One of my 4 refis right now is was cleared to close today, and it's
Sweet.
the smallest one.
I like it. That's a huge one in my book. I
Yes.
get crushed so much, man. I mean, like I just if
But
I don't get rained on, it's a win. So
another win. I just received the cost seg study on one of our deals from last year, and it looks like if we did not do the cost seg study, we would have had about 81,000 in depreciation. But since we did do the cost seg, we can depreciate 607,000 in the first year. So that's a major win.
oh, awesome.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Essentially 17% of the property gets depreciated in the first year.
Yeah, and the good thing is that you can do a cost segregation study this year, even if you don't need depreciation pass-throughs. It doesn't go away. You don't lose it. It just you harvest it. You harvest it at some point in time in the future. All right.
And can you do those cost segs at any point post purchase, or does it have to be within 1 year?
Anytime post purchase. I did two on 2 properties. One I bought 7 years ago, and the other one I bought 6 years ago. And the reason I did it is because I had I had like $1 million in gain from a sale. So I was able to save, I spent $8,000 on the cost seg, but I saved 65,000 in taxes, which was, I think, good. So yeah, no, it's definitely worth it. Daniel, especially if you become a real estate professional, it's definitely worth it.
You know where my head's at.
Yeah. Oh, Mike Fresky.
I submitted an offer today. I already mentioned I'm meeting with 2 investors tomorrow morning, and we'll probably submit an offer tomorrow. So it's been a good week so far.
Ah, sweet. Awesome, man. Make sure you mark the board, all right?
Yes, good timing.
All right, Mike's in the lead now.
I'm filling it out right now.
Excellent.
I got a small one for me, but I got one of the meeting set up with a broker. One of those Akron properties is 22 units. It's listed at 1.6 million. But going out there Friday afternoon.
Yeah, get call. Let me know how you make out so we can debrief. So
Will do.
anything else, everybody? Okay. All right. Well, have a good evening, everybody. Have a great rest of your week and holiday. And we'll see you next week, okay?